Have you played an extended stay in Las Vegas before?
No, this is the first time I've ever played in Vegas or almost anywhere in the same spot for this length of time, 2 months straight. Usually on the road, we're doing one-nighters.
And so creatively, will this give you an opportunity to experiment and do different kinds of shows, you think, over the...
No, we did extensive rehearsals before we got here, and we'll probably stay with the same show, you know, for the amount of time that we're here. I would think that the show will progress, get better, and different approaches on stage will be done.
So it doesn't matter when people come; they'll be guaranteed a high standard quality entertainment.
As best we can, guaranteed.
How does it work out, the balance between, for an artist, the balance between the classics, the hits, and wanting to introduce new material?
It depends on the venue. On a gig such as this one, it's not wise to try to do something that the crowd don't know. You know, unless it's being played on the radio. You know, if it's not being played on the radio, stick with what the audience knows, you know, the hits. Always, you can't lose with the hits.
Now, that sounds like a seasoned entertainer's experience. Many performers like to, as Ricky Nelson saying, you know, if all I have to sing are old songs, I'd rather drive a truck. But then when people come and hear songs they don't know.
Well, evidently he don't feel great about the songs he made. Well, he didn't. Otherwise, you know, there's a song I do in my show called Betcha by Golly. Wow. I can sing this song, and I have been for almost 35 years. You know, I love this song, and every time I do it, it's something new. You know, even on a night that's difficult for me to work, I can put something in my mind about a loved one, my wife or someone like that, and make that song come alive because it just means that much to me. And a lot of songs can do that to you, but not to the degree that does for me. But I saw a show, and I go see him every time he comes to Philly. I went to see Michael McDonald. And everyone in the show was real enthusiastic about what he was doing. He did all the new Motown stuff that he did. But the older crowd that comes to see him every year were a little disappointed that he didn't do all the things that he used to do. And I looked at that, and I was entertained. But I watched the crowd as they left out. You know, they weren't as happy as they were the time before when he did all the old things. And I think I learned a lesson from that. But he's trying to sell music.
But you have a new CD coming out?
I have a new CD come out, a personal CD, a solo CD rather, and I have a CD with the group coming out, a live CD with the Myrtle Beach Symphony that should be out this year, 2011.
What kind of an album is that?
It's live, and basically it's the same show that you saw the other night, and except with some additional songs. I had a solo album out I put out in 04, 05, and one of the songs in there is in the show, and a couple other surprises otherwise than what you've seen on stage.
But with a full orchestra?
But with a full orchestra. It was 60-something pieces up there, and it was a tremendous experience working with an orchestra like that.
Where did the arrangements come from?
The orchestra conductor, he wrote them all out. He did everything.
How does it feel traveling now, playing different places where, I guess at one time you were introducing songs that you relied on the radio. Now the audience knows they know the songs and they come listening. How is that different than the early days?
For one thing, the people are surprised that I still can sing them after 35 years, and that usually astounds a lot of people. And not too much of a difference, you know. There's new generations of people coming in now, you know. Their grandparents are bringing their the grandkids with them because they've been. I've had so many people stop me, young people say, my mother and my father used to play your records all the time, and like I said, after 41 years of being in the business, there's some grandparents, now also. People who grew up with me.
Some artists say, there's a whole generation that were conceived to our records on the radio.
I've been blamed for that a few times. I mean, more than a few times. Almost every night someone says that to me. The promoter of this show just said it to me the other night. Said they got a couple of rock and roll babies out of me.
That song was very catchy, and it's like a guilty pleasure almost, because I expected to be humming "I'm Stone in Love with You" or "You Are Everything." Do you have favorites?
Yeah, my favorite is "Betcha" by Golly Wow, the one I mentioned earlier. I never get tired of singing it. But "Rock and Roll Baby" is a real special song for us also, because for a long time we never had up-tempo songs. So we would be on stage singing slow songs for an hour or so, and people start to yawn and lay back, so we had to stick something in there. And "Rock and Roll Baby," we actually do it a bit faster than what it is on the record, just to liven the song up some.
How about, do you do any disco era songs?
Our disco songs weren't hits here in the United States. They were hits in other countries, in Japan and in England. We did a song called "Can't Give You Anything But Love," and it was double platinum in England, and it was gold in Japan. And it was our biggest selling song in England, more than "You Make Me Feel Brand New," which is the biggest selling song in the United States.
Now, I remember that song from U.S. Airplay. In fact, to remind people, how does it go?
I can't give you anything but my love,
It's a beautiful song.
Yeah.
Speaking of falsetto, this may be people's first opportunity to actually hear your speaking voice.
Yes. Well, if you come to the shows nowadays, I do more talking than I did. The name of the group right now is Russell Thompkins Jr. and the New Stylistics. I've been going from the other two guys now for 10 years. And this new group has been together for about 7 years. And it's not exactly new, because one of the members in the new group was in the Stylistics in the 80s, in the early 90s. And when I left the group, he came to start singing with me. And Jonathan Buxton, he sang in another group with Raymond Johnson that I used to manage. And then me and Raymond Johnson became writing partners. But we come from the same neighborhood. His mother and my mother were friends.
What are the origins of the sound of Philadelphia, which you guys were a big part of? People think of the Love Unlimited Orchestra. How did the Stylistics emerge out of the Philadelphia scene?
Well, we grew up listening to the Philadelphia sound, listening to all the music that was before the Gamble and Huff stuff. But when I became a teenager, that's when the Delphonics came out, the Delphonics and the Ethics, and I had always listened to the Temptations from the Motown era, and that type of music, them voices, is what pulled me in to start singing their songs. So when I didn't have any music and we used to do local clubs, I used to sing all the other tenors' songs. And I was offered a recording contract, and they wrote songs for me, and I still use the same voice.
We talked about a gospel influence and those who came from a gospel background, like Teddy Pendergrass. Did you know Teddy Pendergrass?
Yes, I knew Teddy almost all my life. I met him when we were about 9 years old. My wife went to school with him, so I've known him, knew him forever. And Teddy had the gospel background much more than myself.
A shouter?
Yes. I sang a little bit in the church, but when I was a teenager. But mostly I sang in the city's choir. And all city choir they used to go to every school and pick a certain amount of voices from each school and put them all in one choir. And I worked with them from junior high school on.
So after your voice changed, and now obviously your speaking voice is a male voice, at what point did you start singing falsetto?
I think when I was a teenager and my voice started to break, I didn't want to sing low. And the falsetto just happened. I tried it and it just happened. But my natural voice goes from a baritone into a natural tenor, so that's what made me have the ability to sing falsetto. But baritone is my singing voice. My wife loves to hear me sing my baritone more than singing in the falsetto.
What songs do you sing? Songs as part of the act, or?
Just a little natural on stage. Just a mixture of natural and falsetto in all the songs, anyhow. But I've done not too many songs in my lower voice. One of the songs I did was on a H&L album, and she likes. It's a song called "I'm Gonna Win," and it has a combination of both voices in there, and she really likes that song.
Would you sing a few bars so people recognize that?
I don't think they recognize it, but it's "I'm gonna win, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna grab for the sky, I'm gonna win, I always knew it, but I had no reason to try." She likes that voice.
I've never heard you sing in that register. That sounds great. Yeah, what era was that from?
Middle 70s, probably around 75, something like that, with on H&L label.
Getting back to the origins of the Stylistics, how did the Stylistics emerge, you think, and succeed from that scene?
Well, the success comes with a lot of work and a lot of luck. But the formation of the group, when we were in high school, 1968, when the majority of the group was graduating, some members were going back to school, going to college, and some members were going in the military. And an English teacher at the high school that most of the guys were going to had the idea of taking the remaining members of both groups. It was a group called the Percussions and a group called the Monarchs in the high school. And we used to sing against each other in talent shows.
Did the Monarchs record?
No. This was totally... We were 16, 17 years old at the time, just doing school things. And in fact, doing them shows like that is what got us jobs working in nightclubs in the city, from someone seeing us at a couple of talent shows.
And who became your mentor?
No one personally, but by example and watching what they do and the music they made and learning from a visual aspect, I would say Eddie Kendricks from the Temptations. And I love Dionne Warwick. I've loved her all my life. Just listening to... When someone entertaining me and making me feel good by listening to music, I put Dionne on.
And she has an extensive songbook, extensive body of work.
Oh, she has so much music. It's out of this world. Beautiful songs.
Anything stand out in your mind that you like of hers? I know you sing one of her tunes.
Yeah, I do. I recorded a song not too long ago that was out on my solo album she did with Tommy Bell, on an album she did called Track of the Cat. And it was called, I knew as soon as I tried to think of it, it would slip my mind. It's called Jealousy. And it's a very beautiful song. That album, it wasn't a huge album for her, but it was a great sounding album.
Who was Tom Bell?
Tom Bell was a writer in Philadelphia. I remember I used to listen to the Delphonic songs. And I wasn't really into who the writers and the producers and the arrangers and at that time who they were. And I found out, the record company called me and said, "I want you to be down at so-and-so building on Monday morning to meet Tommy Bell." I went down there, met Tommy Bell, sat down, and we started working together. I had never heard of him. I didn't know him. But he was the recorder for the Delphonic songs, the songs that I used to do when I didn't have my own music. I used to sing Delphonic songs.
And for people who know the Delphonic songs but not their name, would people recognize them from La La La?
La La means I love you. Didn't I blow your mind this time? Yeah. William Hart.
Was the lead singer?
Yes, he still is, yeah.
Did you ever sing their songs in a show?
No, I haven't in a long time. But William Hart myself and Ted Mills of Blue Magic did a album together about a year ago that's called the Three Tenors of Soul.
Now that's interesting because all three of you have hits.
Yes.
Singing falsetto.
Right.
Blue Magic singing sideshow.
Yes.
Delphonics La La La.
Mm-hmm.
And all the Stylistics.
Right. And we're all from Philly. So it was the three Tenors of Soul, and the single was All the Way from Philly, written by Hall & Oates, and they are singing on it also with us.
Now Hall & Oates are interesting because when they became popular in the 80s, didn't they bring a lot of attention back to black R&B, even in their stage shows?
Yes, but they also were the musicians and did backgrounds and stuff on some of the Philadelphia music. Some of the things we did, they worked with people like Eddie Holman, I think Blue Magic also. They were studio musicians also. And on their last album, they did You Are Everything. I did a show with them, and I sang along with did the song with them in New York.
For their audience?
Yes. Mm-hmm. They invited me to come to New York and sing with them.
And what was the crowd reaction like? When
it was incredible. It was incredible. It's incredible at their shows anyhow. They have a very dynamic show. Very dynamic.
I saw them at the Hollywood Bowl, and they're a great, they defy category.
Yeah.
In their body work, but they pay a lot of tribute. Didn't they play with the Temptations on stage?
Well, I think the Temptations, like myself, they were big fans of the Temptations, and they had always sang Temptation songs and stuff like that before they were Hall & Oates. I think they were a singing group at one time, and when the careers of the Temptations start to wane a little bit, not the original, not the Temptations themselves, but the ones who left, like David Ruffin and Eddie Kendricks and Dennis. And when they left the Temptations, Hall & Oates took them and helped them out in their careers. They did a live album with them, and they did a number of things. That was very nice of them too, to step in with guys. You know, when guys usually leave the original group, like myself, at first you have a hard time establishing yourself. And I wanted to start doing my own music, doing my own albums, but I couldn't escape the music that I made. I made all the songs that the Stylistics are known for, when the Stylistics were not there to record. Because on the first 3 albums, one guy sang 2 songs. None of the other Stylistics were on any of the first 3 albums or the hits that you listen to. Just one guy on 2 songs, and that's You Make Me Feel Brand New and You Are Everything. Everyone else is studio musicians and studio vocalists.
Where did those songs come from, and how did they come to you?
When I went to have that meeting with Tommy Bell, they were in the process of writing songs at that time. And so while we would sit around the piano, he would bring in a song, and he has an excellent voice himself, very high-pitched natural voice. He would sing the songs to me, and I would learn them, and he would listen to how I approached the song, and he would say he wanted me to record that one. Or then I try another one, and he might say, no, that one is not suited for you, and he'd give me another song, and we run through a list of songs and go in the studio and cut them and see how it turned out.
What did you learn about an approach to singing from him?
I learned the whole aspect of working in a studio from him, of how to sing into a microphone in the studio, how to listen to myself in the studio, how to sing to the tracks, how to, if I'm singing a note that's coming up that's going to be very strong, how to back up from the microphone, how to go into the microphone, how to whisper into the microphone. All them techniques I got from working with Tommy Bell, when I didn't know any of them things before I went in.
And where did things go from that? Were you with that label for a long time?
I was always with the label. That was Afghan Embassy, and Tommy Bell was writing for them. But Tommy Bell was also with Philly International Records in Philly with Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff. But after 3 albums, I stopped working with Tommy. I don't know, there was some type of dispute between him and H&L Records. And the people who were the presidents of AFCO Records bought the label, and they became H&L Records. And from then, I worked with Van McCoy for about 3 or 4 years.
Now, People know Van McCoy from The Hustle, which was an instrumental.
Yes.
Who was he?
Oh, Van's music goes all the way back to one of the first songs that Gladys Knight and the Pips did. I think it was Every Beat of My Heart or something like that.
As a producer?
Yes, as a producer. And he sang also. He did backgrounds. He did a lot of R&B groups. He did David Ruffin also. A group called Something Choice from out of Washington, D.C. I'm trying to think. Van McCoy has a long list that I can't think of right now, but if you would hear the songs, you would know him because he was around for a long time.
Where did Barry White come into the Sound of Philadelphia?
Barry White wasn't a part of the Sound of Philadelphia at all. I think Barry White was from out of Los Angeles. He never did anything in Philadelphia as far as I know.
I think when people think of R&B, they think Motown, and anything outside of Motown must have come from Philly.
No, I think his orchestrated sound was basically out of Los Angeles. And I remember at the time, everyone was crazy about Isaac Hayes, and Isaac Hayes had that sound, and then it seemed like Barry White added a little bit to it. He had the same type of sound like Isaac Hayes had, baritone, bass voice wise, and the lush orchestrations. But I think both of them are from out of Los Angeles. I think Isaac Hayes is from Memphis, because he has that southern sound in his music also.
How did the body of work evolve? You say Philadelphia International Records, and were your hits all on AFCO Embassy and Philly International?
No, they were all on AFCO Embassy. I've only had, with Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, with their record company, the Sound of Philadelphia, TSOP, I only had one hit with them, and that was called Hurry Up This Way Again.
How does that go?
Hurry up this way again. All right.
Now, was that a song that's, did it cross over to the white charts?
I really don't know. All I know is it was a hit for them.
How much, because your choreography rivals the Temptations and the Four Tops and the bands that people have seen more on TV, and they haven't seen, I would say that the Stylistics haven't been shown as much on television as much as the Temptations, but your choreography rivals theirs. Where does the choreography fit in to your performance?
You had to go all the way back to the first black 5-man singing groups from back in the day, like the Clovers, the Orioles, the Flamingos. They all would have hand gestures on stage and movements to the music. And as it progressed, you started doing little dance steps on stage too. Motown had a guy by the name of Charlie Atkins, and he was a choreographer and an etiquette coach for the Temptations, Gladys Knight and the Pips. I think almost every group that came through Motown. And at one time we worked with a guy who worked with him by the name of Honey Coles from out of New York, and he taught us choreography. But we had one guy I grew up with named Ed Ranton, and in fact both of them, and Warren Gamble. They were both singers and dancers, and they taught us choreography. They gave us songs, and we would go to them and let them listen to the tune, and we'd come back in about a week and he'd have choreography for us, and we would learn it from them. It's a black tradition, more so than any other music.
Would the choreography for a particular song ever change?
Maybe. It depends on how we present the song. If it's done in its entirety, it'll probably stay the same. But if we put it in a medley where it's not the whole song and it connects with another song, the end of it would lead into another song, so the choreography would change. That's the only time I can think that it would.
Is it hard to remember the steps?
Not really. I don't do a lot of dancing. I'm mostly a singer up there. The other guys do more dancing than I do, and they're adept at doing dancing and singing. That's their forte. I dance a little bit, but I don't do every song.
When people come see your show, and of course, you say the band split about how long ago?
10 years.
about 10 years ago. So, so if there's a billing that says the Stylistics,
Yes.
will people go in and hear the voice that they heard on the record
You'll hear a reasonable facsimile,
of someone else?
but if I'm not there, you're not hearing the voice on the record.
And so if people wanted to hear the voice from the record, Russell Thompkins Jr.
You got to come see Russell Thompkins Jr. and the new Stylistics.
And how long have you been appearing under this name?
About 7 years now, 7 to 8 years.
And how do you find audiences react now that in this stage of the group and in the stage of your performing? What's the audience response like?
Oh, they love it because they're hearing the original stuff. I always tell them, put your music on at home and listen to a couple of songs before you come out the door, and then come to the show and compare it to what you listened to when you left the house. And the crowds have been fantastic. I mean, I was very unhappy when I was with the old group, and I really couldn't give myself the way I wanted to because of the unhappiness that was inside of me. But as soon as I got away from that organization, something lit up inside of me. I mean, when I perform now and I work, I feel so much better. I can identify with the audience and communicate with the audience much better now, and I'm happy. I'm happy every day.
Your songs are typically happy songs. You don't sing a lot of sad songs.
There's love songs both ways. There's You Make Me Feel Brand New and Betcha by Golly Wow, and there's also Break Up to Make Up. And it depends on which way you want to look at that, but if you listen to the lyrics, it's a very complaining song.
What's your approach to performing? I mean, is there an approach you take to a song now? Are you singing it by rote? Is it just is it automatic, or how do you approach as a singer?
Well, songs that I've been doing for a very long time, they're somewhat automatic, unless I concentrate very much on the presentation of how I give it, or when I'm looking at people. That's what makes it new every night. If you look at a woman in the audience or someone and you sing it to them, it's a new communication happening. So I take that approach. A new song, I just listen to the feel of it and then the lyrics. First the feel and then the lyrics, and then I try to put them both together.
Is there a camaraderie among R&B bands that who've either heard each other play or played together?
There's a camaraderie with some acts, but I would say that there's a lot of respect between all acts. You know, the respect of doing the same job as you, the accomplishments they've made in their careers, especially the ones that have come before you have.
Like the Dells?
Like the Dells and the OJs and Temptations. They all were, you know, we learn our craft from them. So you have to have a certain amount of respect. You should.
Well, when I've seen the Stylistics on a bill, you're usually the headline. And there are great bands like, you know, that are performing under the name the Delphonics, for instance, and for some reason, even though bands that may have come before you, they have that deference, I think, to the Stylistics. Some
do, because we've had more hits than a lot of the other acts. But you know, when you work with people like the Temptations, the Four Tops, the OJs, you know, you usually open for them most of the time. And the Whispers. I'm a big fan of the Whispers too. I have to mention them. I'm a tremendous fan of the Whispers.
What song would the people recognize the Whispers from?
There's so many of them. I can't think of one now. Right now, there's so many songs they've made.
Does the Manhattans figure in?
Yes, the Manhattans. I've worked with them for years. They're one of the groups that the lead singer's been with them for a very, very long time. If you name almost all the groups now, there's almost two of them, the originals and the non-originals. My group, I'm the original lead singer. In the other Stylistics, they have a new lead singer. In Blue Magic, they have two different groups. In the Temptation groups, for a while there was two different Manhattans and two different Delphonics. And
you're here in Vegas where they have lots of coasters and lots of platters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, most of them are them groups of that time. The originals are deceased, you know. So that's another thing altogether. Than trying to impersonate somebody who's still alive. They say it's flattery. I call it thievery.
So when you see a Vegas show that's called a tribute to the Temptations, but it isn't the Temptations. This is not a tribute to the Stylistics.
No. Well, if they're not the original, it's almost being a tribute band if they're not the original doing it. But when I go to see another group using someone's name, I don't associate them with the original group. I just listen to what they're doing and how well they're doing it, and take it from there. Because I work with Dennis Edwards from the Temptations, and he has his own background singers, and they have an incredible show. Incredible, and they're not the originals, but Dennis is. And the other Temptations, Otis' group, they're great too. They have all new singers except for Otis, because Otis is the only one that's still around, and they do a great show. But Ron Tyson, the tenor for the Otis's group, I'm a big fan of his. I grew up singing his songs, and I've known him ever since I was a teenager, because he sang in a group in Philadelphia called the Love Committee, and before that they were called the Ethics. And he's also a great songwriter too. He wrote songs for
and a nice guy, very nice guy.
Yes, he is. Ron Tyson is an extremely nice guy. Yeah. He's my big brother.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I call him. Yeah.
Huh. From performing? I mean,
from knowing him since when I was singing when I was about 17 years old, 18 years old, I was singing at a club called the Cadillac Club in Philly. And they had a song out called Sad, Sad Story. So I'm on stage, I'm singing Sad, Sad Story in the club, and here he walks in with his group. That's the first time I saw him. I got shakes from that. But after talking with him and being around him, you know, he was such a wonderful guy. You know, we've been friends for a long time.
Now, it's interesting because Ron Tyson also he had to inherit singing Eddie Kendrick's
yes,
falsettos and David Ruffin's and...
We all were students of Eddie Kendricks. A lot of singers are either students of Eddie Kendricks or students of David Ruffin, and we learn our craft from listening. I had a friend of mine, I mentioned a name earlier, Ed Ranton, that did choreography, and he was also with the new Stylistics for about 5 years, and he had to leave because of he got sick. But he had a cousin named James Ranton, Alvin Ranton. And Alvin sang in the Monarchs with me. That's how I met Ed Ranton. But when the new Temptations songs would come out, we would go to the corner store, play the jukebox all day long, and learn the Temptations songs. I was Eddie Kendricks, he was David Ruffin. It's not that. It's some good music out here, but I shift gears. Well, when you ask me the question, I can explain why.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of the music you hear on the radio today? What passes as popular music?
Some of it is great and some of it is not, just like music has always been. But I'm not a particular great fan of rap, but it has its qualities. But my listening stopped. When I left the group in 2000, I didn't sing professionally for about another 2 or 3 years. I went back to school and I studied classical piano and I studied jazz. And that experience changed my whole outlook on a lot of music. I always loved music from the 30s, 40s, and 50s, but it actually sent me there even deeper because I learned the chord structure of it. I learned to play a lot of the songs from that time, that's the music I love most of all because my father taught me to sing from that type of music. And I found myself getting deeper and deeper into listening to that. And when you listen to that all the time and then you put on some modern music, it don't feel right to the bones. You know, it's kind of strange. It's tension there. And so I find myself not listening to a lot of modern music. I don't listen to a lot of music from my time either. You know, the songs that I sang, the groups from that time, unless they were done by people like Tommy Bell or Burt Bacharach, the great producers and arrangers. They're the people I like to listen to their music. And you never go wrong with Motown. You can listen to Motown all the time.
Who are some of the performers when you say Motown, are you including just Detroit, or is that the R&B, America's, as they call it, what America's young sound?
I don't know anything about that. I'm talking about the old ones, the Kim Westons and the Ashford and Simpsons and the Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, the Four Tops, Temptations, the Spinners. Which the Spinners also had a great run with Tommy Bell also.
Also Philadelphia.
Wonderful songs. No, I think they're from Detroit. But they were on Motown, and then Tommy Bell started working with them. I think they were on Atlantic. But Tommy wrote some great songs for the Spinners. I mean, some songs that I wish I had done. In fact, on my solo album, I have 2 Spinner songs on there too.
Which?
One of them is I Don't Want to Lose You. I can't remember what the other one is right now. It's been a while, but I know it's I Don't Want to Lose You.
How does it go?
I don't want to lose you. I love you as you are. I don't want to lose you.
It's a beautiful song.
Mm-hmm.
Had you ever met Philippe Wynne?
Yeah. I used to go see Felipe when he was with the Spinners, and I used to go to his shows when he left. Because he left the group the same way I did, and he started a solo career, and he worked solo for a while, and then I think he got with George Clinton, I believe it was, the Funkadelics or something. He worked with them before he died. But I used to go see him all the time. He's the greatest ad-lib singer of all time.
What is, when you say an ad-lib singer, what does that comprise of?
Filling in the spaces in between lyrics.
Uh-huh.
You know, the background would, you know, like when they used to do Mighty Love, dun, 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 dun. They keep going Mighty, and he'd be in the back, well, I can't, when I can't, won't, no, down, doing things like that. He would fill in all them, and that's ad-libbing. And he was the greatest at that than you ever hear.
Rubber Band Man?
Rubber Band Man, all of them. And even the slow songs, too. Sadie, yeah, he could kill it. I mean, he was a monster singer.
Speaking about underappreciated, do you suppose now that this run here will help establish the Stylistics for the fans to come in? Because it's always tough if there's only a one-night show. Like in LA, you'll come and do one night in July or August. And then if you've missed that, then you've missed it maybe for 2 years.
I never know what the future is going to bring. I don't even try to speculate or worry about that. Only thing I know, if God is willing, I will sing some way or another, someplace, somehow. I know for the rest of my life I'll be singing, even if it's professional or not, because that's what I do. That's what I am.
When I saw your show here, I heard a falsetto, a pure falsetto voice that Frankie Valli would only dream of having. Obviously, and he's had polyp surgery, and many people, as they've matured, have not been able to preserve a good falsetto sound.
I don't know about Frankie Valli never having it. You know, Frankie Valli is one of the very first falsetto singers I ever heard in my life. In fact, when the Four Seasons came out, I was a kid. And I had a crystal radio, the one where you take the alligator things and stick it on the light, and you got the power from the radio station with that. Well, you probably don't remember that. But that was a radio that took power from a light. And we would have a little headphones. This was back in the 50s, late 50s. And they used to have a station in Philly called Wibbage, W-I-B-G. And they used to play the Four Seasons records. And I used to listen to them. That's another way I found out I could do falsetto, because I could sing his songs. But I talked with Frankie. Frankie, one of his mentors in the music that he grew up in, if you listen to it very well, you can hear it, is Lil Jimmy Scott. And I love Lil Jimmy Scott. I mean, on my solo album, I did a tribute. I sang Embraceable You, similar to the way that he does it. And that's where I learned the song from, listening to him. But if you listen to a lot of jazz singers like Nancy Wilson, a couple of other jazz ones, I can't remember the name now, but they all follow a Jimmy Scott type of tone. And Frankie does too.
He had a tragic life, didn't he, Jimmy Scott?
Yes, in some ways, yes.
But as a performer...
He's still performing.
Is he?
Yes.
And for people who aren't familiar with him, our younger viewers... he was unique. He's unique genetically.
Yes.
So he has a very high natural voice.
Yes, very feminine.
But there's also something about his performances that I've never had the privilege of seeing. Have you seen him live?
Only on TV. I've never seen him on film, but I've never seen him, face to face. But I have almost every album he's ever put out. I find him. I mean, I go to the old CD stores and stuff like that, and I always get a Jimmy Scott album.
He's a very emotional singer.
Yes.
And seeing you here, it's my first occasion to see you, even though I've seen you, for 20 years in concert. And I think for people, this is the first time well, maybe on Dick Clark's on Bandstand or Soul Train, where you've done interviews there.
Yeah, I've never talked, very much. Well, not because it's by choice, but the other group had a spokesman. Every group had a spokesman. And I remember a lot of times thinking to myself, when I used to come up and be singing my song, and I'm giving my heart and soul, and I'm singing "You Make Me Feel Brand New," one of the guys in the group used to do something, and for years it irritated me, was everybody sing along.
Oh.
While I'm singing. Wait a minute, if somebody gonna ask somebody to sing along, let the guy that's singing the song tell them to sing along. And I remember that irritated me for years.
The Chai Lights guy does that on the chorus to.
He's their spokesman also, supposedly.
Yeah. And it kind of detracts, I think, from the audience experience. It's a little like
that voice used to throw me off. While I'm singing, I'm concentrating on the music and everything, and all of a sudden that voice used to jump out at me. While I'm singing, it breaks my mood, my concentration to hear that jump out like that.
What would you like to see for the current generation of music makers? What would you like to see them taking from your body of work and creating for the American sound?
The new artists today are very adept at using the old music. Even the rappers, they go back and they get soundtracks and sound bites and stuff like that, samples, and they add it to their music. And I think they know that music very well. Musically, I don't think I could give a new artist anything but advice as far as learning your craft. If you're going to be a singer, learn to be a good singer. I would recommend as early as possible, try to become a musician, because when you become a musician, you'll become a better singer. And the other thing I would give to a young artist coming out is, don't let nobody count your money. Learn to count your own money, because when somebody else gets their hands on your money before you're not going to see the amount that you're supposed to get.
Do you suppose the new media world will allow artists to maintain more control over their...
It already has.
Yeah?
It already has.
Like Chameleonaire?
Yes, and all of them, yeah.
Yeah.
They've learned lessons. They've learned a lot from watching groups of my time and ones before me to not get possibly what they deserve as far as the financial aspects of being in the business is concerned.
Now, many people don't know this, but and I think of Motown in particular. A lot of the performers and musicians and songwriters who, for songs that are playing on the radio constantly, people are thinking, well, these people must be rich by now. Are they rich?
No, they're not. A lot of people worked on salaries. A lot of people gave up their rights because just for the opportunity to be on an album or to make music. A lot of people were giving out percentages of their money to different people that were made them more richer than the artists themselves. It's a lot of things in the music business that can be, if you knew in the beginning. I think that's one reason why a lot of artists get taken for a lot of money, is because they come in at an age where they haven't studied, law. They haven't studied mathematics or different things like that. They're just singers from graduated from high school, probably barely did that.
The movie Cadillac Records, for instance, I don't know if you've seen it, but
parts of it, yeah. Yeah.
Depicts the
Yeah.
idea.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say that the record labels have exploited a lot of the performers?
Yes, some. Some have. Some have been fair, and some have not. I've worked with some people that have been very fair, and some extremely not.
Would you like to give credit to those who've been fair?
No, I'd rather not. Well, I'll say one. I work with a person by the name of Lenny Silvers from Amherst Records, and to this day, Lenny is, as far as I'm concerned, royalty-wise and things like that, he's been very fair with me. And I think the Stylistics also.
Which albums?
They own all of them. The very first ones, all the way through to the H&L stuff. They have all of that. They've reissued, they've done a lot of different things with the music, and we've always seen compensation.
Are you rich?
No, I'm not.
So when people are hearing the songs playing on the radio and they play still constantly, are you able to? Are you sitting back like Berry Gordy in an LA estate? Or
No, I'm not.
Somewhere.
No, I'm not.
You're a working, performing.
Yes,
musician.
I am. I get a percentage of my work, you know, like I said, from being compensated from the record company. But I live on the road. I sing for a living. I've always called myself Tommy Tucker, and I sing for my supper. And that's what I do, you know. But
so your fans
I'm
can
not
come and support
poor.
you.
I'm not, you know, anything like that. I make a good living, you know, but I'm not rich.
So your fans can come and help the cause.
Oh, yes, indeed. Please.
And you'll be here at the Riviera in Las Vegas from now until...
Not the Riviera, at the Clarion.
Opposite from the Riviera. You'll find the Clarion because it used to be the Debbie Reynolds Hotel, and so it's
Okay.
under a new name, the Clarion.
Yes, the Clarion Hotel.
Opposite the Las Vegas Hilton.
Yes.
So people will know where it is. But catty corner to the Riviera.
Riviera.
On
And-
Convention Center Way.
Yeah, and I'll be
Drive.
here until the middle of January. For 2 months exactly, I think.
One show a night.
One show a night. Wednesday to Sunday.
Singing and dancing.
Singing and dancing.
All the songs that you remember from the Stylistics.
All the songs I can remember and they can remember.
That's great. Congratulations. Thank you for speaking with us
Thank you,
today.
Scott.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.